I'm going to call the Planning Economic Development Committee to order. The first item on the agenda is for roll call, please.
Mrs. Root,
Here.
Mr. Barnes, Mrs. Burdick,
Here.
Mr. Curran,
Here.
Mr. Dibble,
Here.
Mr. Healy,
Here.
Mrs. Hopkins, Mr. Ricky,
Here.
Mr. Crandall. 9 members present.
The next item is your approval of the July 21st minutes, and I entertain a motion. Mr. Dibble makes that motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Ricky seconds it. Any additions or changes to those minutes? If not, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Minutes are carried. Next up is Rita Selbeck Lynch, Employment and Training Director. We have her monthly report. As always, we've had it before. We can ask Rita any questions, or Rita, would you like to go over it with us? Thank you.
It was a pretty quiet month, really. Not many people were seeking jobs. And now, however, we've seen a high number of people receiving unemployment insurance benefits that are actually doing their job search. So our traffic has gone up a little bit. Today, we're interviewing for a new job developer. And we're also, this is all stuff for next month, but we're having a job fair at the David A. Howe Public Library on September 16th. We're teaming up with the library, the Mayor Randy Shaler from the Village of Wellsville, and the Wellsville Area Chamber of Commerce, Department of Labor, and our Workforce Development Board.
Mr. Healy?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Rita, you say we didn't have many people that were on unemployment looking for jobs. Is that what you were said, or?
We do have people that are receiving benefits now because the job search is required, and for so many months it was not required. They could collect their insurance. And I believe the last of the pandemic unemployment insurance is up September 5th.
Right, so the extra $300 a week or whatever it is there, is that's going to expire soon, so you got more people apparently out working, looking for employment.
Yes, they're taking this very seriously now.
Yes, imagine that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we're wrapping up our work experience, or our summer youth program, and a lot of people have some extra weeks that they could get in before school starts, so we're going to be able to spend all of our money on that. And that's gone really well this summer.
Anybody have any other questions for Rita?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Rita. So next up is Keir Durham, Director of Planning, and we have his monthly report also. We've had a chance to look it over, but Keir, do you want to give us a little overview, and we'll open it up for questions?
Afternoon, everybody. A couple of things on the report. The LWRP, the Local Waterfront Revitalization Plan, roadshow events were held in July. Went to quite a few towns, and along there they're all listed: Willing, Wellsville, Scioto, Amity, Belmont, Angelica, Belfast, Kennedy, and Hume. We've also had some follow-up meetings since then, and they're pulling things together. They're doing their inventory assessment right now. They've finished most of the work with the state on the outline of the area that's going to be set up for the local waterfront revitalization plan. More or less mirrors the river and Route 19, and then moves in and out on each side depending on assets that are in that corridor. The state has to approve the corridor, so we're still finishing that up. It's a great project in that many things have been talked about and worked on over the decades. This process brings everything that's ever been talked about and all the natural and physical infrastructure all into one package where we can access it in the future. So that'll be really nice to have all that in one place. We're putting the final touches on the driving trails brochure. I just handed a copy of the draft to Mr. Havey for his review. That's going to print. Nice thing about this year is we've been able to do this process in-house. We didn't have to hire outside consultants. We have staff that knows how to use graphic design programs, and I did the map. So, and the tourism folks gather the information, and we goes to print hopefully this week. Next up, I think we've got to talk about the hunting brochure too. That's coming up next month.
So good teamwork going?
Good teamwork. We're last month. I understand you learned about the project that we're putting together for an ad campaign, the Wild Souls, Wild Places campaign, and we're putting the finishing touches on the microsite that people will drop to if they click on the ad, and they'll learn all about living here and being here and working here. And we're the final edits on the first 2 videos are being wrapped up. All that stuff is in the hopper to go live and start the Facebook ads for Labor Day weekend. And you probably won't see it because it's not targeted to here. It's targeted to outside the area. So part of the every year I come to you and ask you to put down 2 EDA projects, Economic Development Administration for the U.S. It's a federal department. Those 2 projects go to Southern Tier West Board, and that gets put into the plan. We can always change these if we need to, if something else becomes the hot topic. But we've had some interest from New York State in looking at the Alfred Ellman Sewer Project that's been on the books for decades. And they seem excited to maybe fund that. And this is one of those deals where you bring together multiple grant sources. And so EDA would be another grant source. They're usually one of the biggest ones. We may have other opportunities out there. So the 2 projects, we just need a resolution in this group. It doesn't go to the full board. We just do it here to make sure that you guys agree, is to approve 2 projects, Crossroads Infrastructure Improvements Project. That would be to finish out the back 18 acres with electric, water, sewer, fiber, and the Alfred Ellman Sewer Project.
Mr. Dibble? Do we have a second? Mr. Curran seconds it. Do we have any questions? Do you have a dollar figure for either one of these?
The last I heard for the infrastructure at the Crossroads, it was in approximately the $3 million range. And for the Alfred Ellman sewer line running from Alfred all the way down, putting collectors into the village of Elmond, it's in the $9 million range.
So for the Alfred sewer project, you said with collectively there's multiple sources for the grant funding?
Yeah, and that's the same with any of these projects. You go after lots of different pots, try to get whatever you can out of where.
Okay, so I was going to say the same with the Crossroads. It's not just the ARC grant?
Not
But
just ARC, not just
EDA.
EDA. We'll see what we can get from where, but
Okay,
EDA is the thing of the day.
okay. And when do these go to the Southern Tier West for the ARC? When do they have to be included in that? What's the timing on that?
This month. The Southern Tier West Board has already heard these projects. They're just waiting for you to say yay.
Okay. If we haven't, no further questions, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor of the resolution, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? The resolution's passed.
Thanks. I'll notify the executive director over there.
Would you turn on your microphone?
Do you know the reason that the land bank grant was not successful?
Actually, I'd have to defer to the county administrator because she sat in on the download after.
There were some deficiencies in it. I believe one of the things that it asked for some administrative funds. I don't believe those are allowed. It asked for an increase in letters of support. The letters of support that were submitted were just very few. Were looking for a lot more and a wide variety. There was one other thing off the top of my head I can't recall.
So basically, it was because of the grant application itself?
Yes, but they were all fixable things that I think will be successful if we apply again next year.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Okay, the last thing I had on my list, I handed out just before the meeting, what I would casually say should have the big word draft across the whole thing. And even in the 10 minutes from when I handed it out, we started finding errors. And this is why normally I try to have my staff double check each other's work. And we didn't have time to do that on this handout. So I was printing it at 12:20 and brought it right down, didn't have the QA/QC. So quality control is always important, and so this is very drafty and subject to change. But this is the Census 2020 data release. Came out last Thursday, August 12th, in the afternoon, and it came out in 4 files for New York State. And the 4 files look like gobbledygook, as you can see in the middle there. It's just a bunch of numbers. And from that, it has to be downloaded into a spreadsheet or other database. It took my computer quite a while to download all of New York State's data and crunch it and turn it into something that somebody can actually read. Each file of those 4 had over 575,000 rows of data and could have up to 150 columns. And Mr. Harris tried to open this mess and quickly said, "I'm calling Durham." So the short answer is, unfortunately, the estimates appear to have been closer to right than I was hoping. The county has lost 2,490 residents, which is approximately a 5% population loss countywide. Only 5 towns increased population. Centerville was the biggest winner with 13% and had 107 people move into that town. The remaining were just a little over 0 to 10% increase. For town of Allen, Centerville, Hume, New Hudson, and Willing. The Oil Springs Reservation, percentage-wise, received 600% increase because they had 6 people move in, and now theoretically have a population of 7. That's a space of about a half a mile in our county. 24 towns lost population. Based on percentage, West Elman was the biggest loser at 18%. They lost 60 people. The remaining decreases were between a loss of 2% to 16%. Wellsville was the largest loss at 333 less. The county legislature perspective, District 1 is the largest currently, and District 4 is the smallest, which makes perfect sense since Wellsville lost so many. And Centerville is in District 1, and that was going up. I've also included in this packet ethnicity data, but it's only a little piece of it. This was the piece that had the most columns, and they have broken down our ethnicity into approximately 140 different ways. And it's just incredible what they do now. It used to be about 7 ways. So I didn't include all of that. I only included the major categories. There's special housing data toward the back. I think this is a little bit interesting to me. This page, it's second to last paper, lets you see the college and university student housing numbers in Alfred and Canandaigua. It lets you see that the correctional facility in the town of Amity is there. And then it lets you see the nursing homes facilities in their respective towns. So that's kind of always a discussion point, that did they properly count? And I would say that the numbers are approximately what I would have guessed, so seems good. Also found this time something I've never seen before, which was population and housing data by school district. So you have to remember school districts don't follow county lines. So some of these are outside the county. You might say, why is Cansteo Greenwood on this list? But a little piece of it is in our county. Same with Portville and Letchworth. So obviously those numbers are not really particularly relevant to our county data, but they impact it a little bit. The sheet that's in this packet related to the legislative districts, we determined something happened in the calculation, and you should throw out both the table and the map that's associated with the legislative districts. I will recalculate that hopefully later this afternoon and send you an email version of that is corrected, because that's not good. The housing data also is a little surprising to me. The totals, they're saying that we lost 2,686 housing units, an 11% drop. Not clear how that happened. I know the land bank tore down some houses, but it sure wasn't 2,686 of them. The other thing that's maybe reflects that a little bit is most of the ones that disappeared were what they called vacant housing. 2,146 vacant, a 37% drp, while 540 less occupied housing. So there's a lot to just, you could sit here and dig through this stuff. I'm not going to go any further with that. But once again, it's preliminary. I converted that raw data Thursday and Monday, and then tried to put these tables together really quick for you. I definitely will probably have to put out new versions of some of this. And then the state and the feds are also going through and doing their own version of what I've done. And so they'll probably be issuing updates and fixes themselves. So stay tuned.
Here, the data on the vacant housing, 10 years ago when we did the census, there were a lot more categories of vacant or what was one of the terms they called it? Can't think right now, but anyway, there was seasonal, limited use, and so looks like they consolidated those, and that could be a reason for your big change.
Yep, it definitely could. It's not obvious. Some of that may come out later. One thing that the census, I tried to watch their event. You could still watch it. Mostly they're talking about nationwide, but they made it very clear that late September they're going to put out cleaned up versions of all this that should be much easier to understand. And I'm hoping some of that information is buried in this nightmare tables that I downloaded, but it's not easy to dissect. So
When they send out their new reports, will it be posted anywhere, like on the webpage, for people to see?
usually
the
what
data?
I do is if I happen to get something from another source, then I try to add it to our demographics page on the planning site. I haven't found anything yet, but it's all coming. The Census Bureau buries this stuff, usually makes it hard to find until they're really ready. So they actually said this is only for people who really are into the data, and if you're not an expert in data analysis, you should wait till the end of September. I was like, my guys are not going to wait till the end of September for a clue how this is going to play out. So I did my best, but I am a little annoyed with myself that I made some mistakes today, but we're okay.
Does anyone have any other questions or comments to care about? this report. And Mr. Crandall, you had your,
Mine was not about this report, but the EDA projects. Did I understand, those stay here, we don't need a resolution for those?
Do not require it to go, we've never done it to the full board.
All right.
We just do it at P and D and then,
Fine.
Makes
My
sense.
concern was when you said by the end of the month, if it was something had to come off the
Nope.
floor, but if it's taken care of
Yep.
here, we're good. Thank you.
very good, thanks.
thank you, Kier. Next up is Gretchen Hanchett with the Greater Allegheny County Chamber Executive Director, but we have a guest stepping in for Gretchen today, and it's Rod Beerler, and he's going to give Gretchen's report. Welcome, Rod. Nice to see you.
Thank you for having me, ladies and gentlemen. Pleasure to be here. A couple of things that Kier touched on, I will touch on again. One is some of our top priority projects for the tourism, and that is the Fresh Air Adventures, which we have teamed with, and this is for tourist promotion. And what we have done with that, the travel guide request is part of the FAA site, which is a Fresh Air Adventures. It has doubled the number of requests for our brochures. So that is a good thing. That's working well. And down the road, we're looking at growth in terms of 4 or 5 years by doing this with the Fresh Air Adventures. So it's something that's popped up and has been very worthwhile. The other thing is the Western New York Destination Guides. We're working with Josiah Brown to update and design our brochures, our travel guides, and also having an overview coming from the New York's Best Experience, and that's what we want. And also we'll be updating our Scenic Drive brochures, and that will be needing to update the map and clean up the graphics, and also start to rebrand our hunting and fishing brochures, which seem to just fly out wherever we go. They're very high in demand. Also, we have the A2D. It's a website update with the Western New York Wilds brand. It's basically tools for our visitors to look at and discover what they want to do, where it's at, and that has also been a very worthwhile project. And we're also developing tourism videos, 6 to 8 30-second videos. We're doing this with Nick Davis, who is the head of the Genesee Valley Media. Also digital marketing, which is a very big part of advertising anymore, huge. And our mobile tourism visitor center, working with White Imprints out of Cuba to update the graphics on that. And you can also see we have a number of events from August 21st to the end of September 25th. We've got 22 events right now that we're covering, and probably more will be coming in. But that's pretty much my report. I just want to mention the marketing. Again, the tourism Facebook and website, Letchworth Fall Guide Ad Guest Quest, and Gretchen is on the New York State Tourism Industry Association, the Economic Development Organization, the Workforce Investment Board, and Impact, Friends of Allegheny County Trails on Public Land. So Gretchen and Steve have done one heck of a job for Allegheny County tourism and for the Chamber of Commerce, and I think we're very lucky we have them in the position we do. And with that said, anyone have any questions?
Mrs. Hopkins?
Yes.
Good to see you, Mr. Beeler.
Hey, good to be seen.
I actually have a couple questions.
Sure.
I'll give you one at a time. You mentioned the New York's Best Experience.
Yes.
Can you just explain that a little bit more for us, expand that for us?
Well,
What is it?
basically, it's what it is. It's the tools, in other words, brochures, or it could be on the website or whatever, showing you where the specific topic you want to go to is listed there. It shows you how to get there. It shows you the different places to stay and to eat.
Okay, so that is on a different website than ours?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so it's, the website itself is called New York's Best Experience, and then we're featured on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you
Yep.
for sharing that. The other question is on the digital media. You said there, the digital marketing, excuse me. That's certainly something that's very focused in and I just wondered if you could tell me a little bit more about what the focus is that you're looking for on that. Where are you focusing that marketing plan?
Well, as I speak, Gretchen and Steve are working to develop that even more. So otherwise than that, I couldn't tell you anything else.
Okay. All right.
So.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions? Thank you for having me. I'll leave you with one message. It's nice to be important, but more important to be nice. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Rod. So next up, we have Dr. Craig Clark, Economic Development and Industrial Development Agency. He's given us his monthly report. We've had time to look at it. Craig, I'll let you give us an overview and then open up for questions.
The one thing I guess I will do kind of an overview. I was thinking as I was going to give the report this time. It's very interesting. This is the first time in the 5 years I've been doing this that we've gotten a lot of requests from Empire State Development and other entities. And between that and the Angel Fund, we're now, I'm not saying it, they're all going to happen, but we're looking at a fairly large greenhouse, a small greenhouse, 2 or 3 manufacturing facilities, and even a small call center distribution. It's just interesting the number of people that are reaching out to the county. And I don't know if that's all related to COVID or if it's just related to ESD being more active. There is another group that we belong to, the Transatlantic Business Group, that's reached out to us a couple times, but there are international companies looking to locate as well. Not just here, obviously, in all of New York State, we're competing in other regions. And some of those international companies, that's what's frustrating. Is when they reach out, you don't know how serious they are, but we're giving them all information. And I know the Wellsville Business Park has been listed a number of times with 3 or 4 fairly good-sized manufacturers. Hopefully we'll hit on one of those. One of them did come through and do 2 walkthroughs. So I guess that's kind of an overview as things are picking up. Don't have anything a real hit yet, but we have at least people looking. And as you well know, you're not going to win unless people are looking. So people are looking to locate, and I think that's good. Other than that, down here, I just kind of summarized some of that. Again, working fairly strongly with Business Park and Angel Fund, and clean energy projects are moving forward. If the last 2 real big ones are still in discussion, as the town of Alfred knows, and the town of Hume, they're really initial discussions. They're way behind the one up in Burns. Burns actually has a contract to sell their electricity, so they'll be moving forward. Those other 2 do not yet have, as I understand, contracts to sell the electric, and that's like the first stage. You really can't even go forward unless you have a contract. The smaller one. Yeah, the smaller ones are fairly go forward. Those aren't issues. I'm talking the big ones. Yeah, the smaller ones, they just seem to be able to build those as long as they have the contracts and are willing to invest the money. And those are continuing. Anything on that first page or summarize or questions? Mike always
Mr.
has
Healy?
a question.
Well, I'll try to take it easy on you
Oh,
here
you're
today.
fine.
Great Lakes Cheese Project,
Right.
are we still pursuing that for Allegheny County?
We have sent them a couple different projects, sites, potential sites. I'm still waiting to hear back from Matt. Got a call into him. Hopefully he'll find something out. I know they're still progressing. Their first choice at this point is Franklinville, but unfortunately, we are still sending them sites, yes.
And are we still pursuing upgrading the electric capabilities at the Crossroads facilities?
I'm not sure what you're asking there, because obviously that's $30 to $40 million to do what we were going to do. It's probably, we could do something in the $4 to $5 million range for a smaller facility.
Okay.
Have I not connected with RG&E on that, not on a smaller side, not just the large side.
Okay, I just wonder if we were pursuing upgrading the electric at that site in case there ever was any other interest in the area that it'd be,
Well, we need to do at least a small size upgrades, because even to do a distribution center, I don't think there's enough power there. Yes, you're correct.
you are working on that or
Yes,
you're not?
yeah, yes.
Okay. And I had a question too about another factory here, Hydromac, I guess it is.
Hydromet, yeah, that shut down last year ago.
Sile.
Yeah.
Can you tell me if there's been any sale of that property or?
Not to my
If you've been
knowledge.
working
I
with
haven't
anybody?
heard, I have not heard anything. You know, when they were closing, we tried to make sure they stayed open. We did a lot of different things in bringing in Insight Consulting down. Try to do a number of things. Have not worked with them since they closed. No.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Quiet group today. Nothing else on page one. The other things, we just keep continuing to work on the micro enterprise grant. We sent out another set of updates to the grantees to make sure they'll spend their money. That grant only runs till the end of December. So I want to make sure we spend all those funds, and most of them are progressing quite well. I think you've seen a lot of those different stories that have been in the newspaper as well. And they've made a big difference. And then on the startup Allegheny County, we continue to work on the next program, which will be next spring, which will be another startup group working with Alfred State College, Alfred University, and Houghton, and competing on some projects. And I have been continuing to talk to Elsie Whitford about the Kmart facility. A couple weeks ago, they said they had a potential tenant. I have not had any follow-up from them since then, because I told them we'd be working with them if they did. That's about all I have, unless you have a question.
Yes,
Sure,
Mr.
Mike.
Healy?
I understand in Friendship, the former Dewey's convenience store, Crosby's, Ducky's,
Right.
all the above, but that's been sold and that it's going to be raised in a new, I think it's retail establishment going in there. Do you know anything about
They
that?
have reached out to us about doing a project through the IDA, yes.
Okay. Anything more you can tell us about that?
Nothing at this stage, no. I mean, it was just preliminary when they talked to us. But we are going to probably help them on a project at that site, yes.
Okay, and that is retail?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Decker?
When I came by there this morning, they had taken the roof down over where the gas pumps were located. And so it looks like it won't be too long before that'll be all.
They were talking
gone.
about moving fairly quickly, yes.
Yeah, they had a trailer there already loaded with
Right.
stuff ready to be pulled out.
All right.
Mr. Fenton?
Yeah, you having any interest on an assistant?
We still have someone that's more than willing to do the work. We just have to process the work. Yeah, I keep
Okay.
talking to him, yes.
Thank you.
The other thing I did forget is the Tracewell building in Cuba has been looked at 2-3 times, and they're waiting to try to figure out if they can come up with a deal with the Seneca Nation.
Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Legislator Barnes, Land Bank, I recently read that they just completed a house
Right.
in Wellsville with a market price of $199,500. Is that a practical pricing for a single-story house on a less than, it's kind of a rundown street that it's on?
All right. Yeah, I know the location. You want to have a comment on that, Kirk? Sorry, you're on the land bank. I know of the land bank.
So the whole purpose of the land bank is to improve neighborhoods and put better things in perhaps than were there before. So that site had no house. was a empty lot, actually 2 lots, and there was funds from the state that came in to either do renovations or new construction. When we originally had scheduled, we had thought that we could actually build 2 houses. But with the pricing that happened with the supplies over the last year, we could only afford 1, and it was still over our budget, the way things went. So even though it's priced at $199,000, we're open for offers, and no matter what, we're going to be selling it for less than it costs to build. There's 3 lots in that block that we targeted. One of them has had a demolition done to remove a dilapidated building, and that site is going to be sold shortly to a neighbor. And then there was another house that was renovated just down the street, and that sold. And this is the last one on that block that we're working on right now. So that's sort of the theory, is if we can make some positive impacts, it brings everybody's property values up in that area, and hopefully they'll work on their houses because they see that the guys next door are nicer. So
So you say the 199,500 doesn't even cover the cost of what the land bank has put into it.
correct.
And that's not a very profitable way to operate, obviously.
The land bank is
I
not
underst-
in the
I
business to make
understand
money.
the
so.
purpose of it is to improve the,
Yep.
but still, I would think that the idea would be to at least break even.
We wish we could. How's that? It's a weird thing but the way the state funding is set up, they don't expect you to break even. They don't expect you to make money. They expect you to make impact and have positive impact in a community. And that, if you can forget the money part of it, then are we making impact? I think we are. So that's where we're going in the right direction. But the money, if it was purely county money, I'm sure we would have different ways of spending it than we did. But it's state money, and it's the way they like to spend their money.
Mr. Fenton?
Yeah, was Alfred supposed to help you on that project, Alfred College?
They did do some of the work, but it was we ended up, timing was crazy, and with COVID and classes and all that stuff, that didn't.
So you
work
had to
out.
hire a lot more done to that project
That's
than
true.
what you originally thought, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know Alfred State did help, and that was a project, but like Kira just said, between COVID and classes, it was tough. And plus the expedited time they had to get the money spent. So when we do, at the college, when I do projects, I typically have to do, 1 to 2 year projects to space them out, so it's a learning activity. And in this case, they condensed it so short that they could only help a little bit. And I know from building and selling homes for the college, even though that number seems very high, Gary, I can tell you it's pretty low compared to what cost of materials is. So, I mean, that's the struggle I think you're working at right now between the cost of contractors and the cost of materials.
Finding a contractor.
I know when Alfred State College builds homes now, I mean, you're talking at least 20 or 30% increase in cost. I mean, and that's without people. That's only materials. So it's a real struggle. And I think I'm a big favor of the land bank because I think what we're doing makes a big difference. If you can help, small area by small area, it makes a big difference to attract people, keep people, and as you said, increase value of properties as well.
Okay. Any other questions?
Good question, Gary.
If not, thank you, Craig.
Okay, if you have any other questions outside this venue, please give me a call. Okay.
So do we have any old business for today? Do we have any new business? Do we have anything for the good of the order?
I just wanted to check on one thing.
Oh, where's this coming from?
Just a reminder that the Andover fishing contest is coming up, and they were double checking to see if any other legislators plan to attend that award ceremony. Right now, I have legislators Havey and legislators Dibble participating. Does anyone else plan to participate? Jan? Thank you very much. Okay. Oh.
Did I see a handout in the peanut gallery, Rod? Do you have something for the good of the order?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd be very amiss if I didn't say thank you to Allegheny County and all you people in this room for the support you have given not only the chamber but tourism. And without your help, we wouldn't be where we are today. So I just, again, want to reiterate, thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you. If there's nothing else for today, I would entertain a motion for adjournment. Mr. Dibble makes that motion, and Jan Burdick seconds it. All in favor for adjournment, please say aye.